So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw the first kind of stages of rebuilding after World War III, as well as a new alliance over here between Canadian Union, Alaska and the Spanish. We also had the continued expansion of the AEU across many nations. We also had the Japanese and the Koreans invading Hokkaido. We saw the collapse of the Square Alliance in Europe, and much more, so if you haven't seen that video already, make sure to go see it now. But yeah, anyway, let's just get into the first event of today's video. And that's going to be the Economical Alliance, or I guess you could say the Hexagon Alliance, as unfortunately, for anyone who liked this, it's not going to exist anymore, because the Dark Union has actually just been the first to leave this alliance, unlike one of the other things. But there may be something happening later in this episode with these guys, you'll just have to wait and see. We'll then see Switzerland leave, because like, we don't really care, and Italy will leave, and then we have the Moroccan country, which the capital isn't Monaco, but I don't care, I'm just going to call them Monaco. They're just going to leave as well, because like, why? This is going to lead to a lot more things happening in Europe, and we're going to see a pretty big event. I mean, it's not like massive, but we have the Swedish forming an economical alliance, which this is quite surprising considering they just lost World War III. But yeah, the new Swedish Republic will be forming the Right Triangle Economical Alliance, also known as the Scandinavian Economical League, in which the first country joining will actually be Denmark. These guys, well, they're not in the best situations. They just came out of World War III. The area was quite a bloody war place in World War III. You know, first you had the Swedish invading this area, and then, well, the Dark Union came up and invaded that, and, well, they're not in the greatest situation, so they're going to join this alliance to improve their stability and to improve their economy. And lastly, we will see the Lapland country decide to join this economical alliance, and it looks like these guys are, you know, they're starting off quite good. They got a lot of the pretty valuable areas, or the more historical areas of Sweden, except for Norway. So yeah, I think this is it's quite a good start, to be fair. Oh, they also get Iceland as well, who I'm going to change the colour of. That's much better. Anyway, sticking on the topic of economical alliances, which they're starting to gain a lot of popularity, considering we just had World War III, and it's not really great to not be in an alliance at the minute. So we're going to see one form in the Americas, as the Octagon Economical Alliance will be first formed by Mexico. We'll then actually see the Texan country join in, and they also get the Red Mexican country. So now I guess we have the set like Central American Pact. Well, this isn't really Central America, but who cares? And yeah, just a lot of economical alliances forming, which is good. Just, you know, it's cool. Mexico did actually become a pretty big or a pretty powerful country after World War III, so it's not surprising that they do something like this, you know, just to get, you know, boost their influence to be a lot bigger. But we are now officially in the year 1980. No, well, you know, we're officially now in the year 1988. And elections are up in the Dark Union. They happen every 4 years. The last one was actually right after World War III. But very similar to the US in real life, the Dark Union has this, well, I guess, thing where the president of the country can only perform 2 terms. So there was the one that was in World War III who kind of, you know, delayed elections, kind of like what happened with the UK in World War II. But yeah, they delayed elections, and then they did it in 1984, which then he won that election again, which led. Oh, well, now he's got 2 terms in, so he's got to get out. And there are 2 kind of parties in the Dark Red Union. I mean, there's a few parties, but there's 2 main parties. There is obviously the kind of left-wing party and the right-wing party. The left-wing party, they have some good policies and stuff and all, but the Conservative Party, they have a good leader, and you'll never guess who it is. It is the man, the myth, the legend, one of the greatest people to ever live in the Dark Union. His name is Dominic Ishten. So this guy, if you remember, he stopped World War III from happening earlier over here in this region. He didn't, you know, let the nuclear bomb happen, and then he was a general in World War III who stopped the Swedish from taking over the Dutch capital, and now he is running for president. This guy has had an incredible life. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened, and he promises better rebuilding after World War III. He promises to try and repair the Dark Union's influence. Well, they kind of lost after World War III in this timeline. And he also promises to kind of stop laying around like the old government did over here, and he'll just, like, you know, make the country a lot better. And when the results come through, it's a landslide victory for the Conservative Party. It is a 73% vote for the Conservative Party and a 22% vote for the left-wing party. The rest of the votes go to the other parties in the kind of system, but yeah, it's a complete landslide victory for the Conservative Party in the Dark Red Union. And on Inauguration Day in the Dutch capital, he is cheered on by all of his people. However, then a very unfortunate event will happen, as a man stationed on a building just behind the area where he's getting inaugurated will fire at the president, and he is wounded and then rushed to hospital. However, then 2 hours later, he is unfortunately announced to be dead. He was shot straight through the heart, and while this may have been a very bad injury for the heart of a man, it was even worse for the heart of the Dark Red Union. As now the kind of vice president in the Dark Red Union, this guy is, well, he's interesting. Because despite the fact that the Dominic H. Dunn was a great leader, and he would have been a great leader, the vice president is not very liked. Like, he puts himself on to be good, and well, he manages to gain the support of the people at first. However, after about a few months, he's just a really bad leader. And what's going to happen is the Dark Red Union's stability is actually going to go down. As we see it surprisingly go down from from a lime all the way down to yellow, which is not very good. People just don't like him overall, so we'll see how this kind of advances in the next 2 episodes. But kind of ignoring what's happening over here, we're going to come down to Africa now, as we see a very large war taking place. As the Gear Alliance and the Parallelogram Alliance are going to be going to war. Now, why does this happen? Well, this pink country here, if you remember a few episodes ago before they joined the Gear Alliance, they were actually a dictatorship. And it turns out, after that dictatorship was abolished, he actually fled up through Nigeria into this country, was then escorted back to Egypt, and he was actually quite he was quite fond of the idea of communism, and he's dead now, but his son, they kind of indoctrinated his son to the point where he thinks it's the only good ideology in the world. So what's going to happen is in this pink country here, we have a civil war breaking out, and a new communist government will start to, interfere, or will just start to take over land, and they'll take over the entire northern region of this country, and the Gear Alliance, they'll be able to fight back a little bit, because this is their ally, so they'll fight back over here, and that's when they find Egyptian troops and equipment in this area, and they'll be like, yo, why are you messing, like, this is not your business. And it'll just start to be a lot of arguments down here, and eventually what will happen is the Gear Alliance will declare war on the Parallelogram Alliance. And we have what will be known as the Great African War kicking off, as the Lion Team at first will start to invade into Egypt. Not just that, but they'll also invade into their ally over here of the Chad country. These guys have truly just been bullied in history, but they're extremely weak. They're actually one of the weakest countries in the world, and this capital will be captured. And I'll say this green country is like a top 30 power. It's actually very strong. They're probably number 26 in the world rankings. But unfortunately, they're no match against the 4th strongest country in the world, that is Egypt. As they'll be invaded, and invaded very quickly, they will be, as all around their border, Egyptian troops will be rapidly sent in. And yeah, not good. Now, the Cross Alliance, despite the fact that they are also dictatorships like communists, they don't like communism, and Djibouti is also kind of friends with the Cross Alliance. So what's going to happen is they're going to ask the AEU, hey, can you try and support the Gear Alliance here, because we don't want communism spread into this region of Africa. It's already happened with this country, and we don't want it happening anymore. The AEU will be like, you guys are dictatorships, you're not much better, but we'll consider it. And these guys are like, help, help, help us please, we want help so much. We also have the Angolan country sending troops up into this region, and they'll also make an invasion into the Gabon country, kind of over here. These guys, a lot of their members are probably stronger. Maybe if this alliance didn't have Egypt, they might be able to win, but they do have Egypt, so yeah. Egypt does a lot of heavy lifting for this alliance. I mean, Nigeria is up there as well, they're also a very strong nation. But the Chad country obviously is not, and they're going to get fumbled completely by this region, and eventually they'll just be completely divided up, just like this. And we had the Nigeria country be like, oh god, so what's going to happen is they're going to send the troops to occupy the rest of this region, and this is the second time in history this happened. The Chad country got invaded by Nigeria, then they luckily got bailed out by the Dark Red Union, and they got divided by Egypt and Nigeria, and now they're getting divided again. But the Nigerians will be able to fight back against the Green Country. They are slightly stronger than them, and they'll be able to just push them like completely out of Chad, or to the point where they're nearly completely out of Chad. And they'll start to pull troops as well into the Communist Rebellion, which has kind of been, sitting with nothing done for the last while, but it'll be able to push towards where the capital is. The Angolan support in the south will just completely push the communist region, and they'll be just completely kicked out. And we eventually have the Gabon country having the capital be captured like this, and it's not very good for the parallelograms. But then a smart general in Nigeria will decide, hey, can't we just use this island to like invade them like this? And that's what's going to happen. As in, landing will be made here in Nigeria, and they'll start to invade across the coast of the Angolan/Congo country. They'll eventually send a spearhead out to this major city here. And I forgot to be using rivers. That's my bad. We actually have the the Egyptians kind of started to send troops down the Nile. Like a lot of countries do this recently, and I don't know why, but they'll send like a few troops down the Nile. But in the north, they'll start to cook over here in the north, as they'll push very far into the Green Country, getting to the point where they start to threaten the lone major city over here, which I don't really know how this exists. And actually, a spearhead will be done out, and it'll be captured. But eventually, there'll be support given to the Gear Alliance, but it won't quite be from the AEU, as the Diamond Alliance will send support down into the Congo country and just the rest of the Gear Alliance. This is a response to them adding these guys into the alliance in the last episode. This is the response I was talking about at the end. And we officially have the Angolan country recapturing this major city and pushing back Nigeria. They'll also start to recapture land from Gabon over here, coming up and taking over this major city. And the Parallelogram Alliance is like, whoa, this is just like, no. As the second strongest country in the world, and also the 7th and, don't know, probably like 50 millionth, we'll start to supply the Gear Alliance. And I didn't mention that Dark Virginian is 3rd in the world. That's how bad this president is. He's really dragged the country down, just to disability and other things. But yeah, Canadian Union is 2nd, and Arabia is number 1 at the minute, but you'll see how long that lasts. And the Egyptians, they're close to being like, right, okay, we declare war on you guys. But they're like, I mean, we would do this. I mean, we didn't even join World War 3. But at the same time, I mean, these guys, they still got, like, the military from World War 3, so, that's so terrible. What am I talking about? The Egyptians are like, okay, we're already fighting Africa, and, like, if we declare war on these guys, they'll probably just try and jump us, and then we'll lose the communists. And, there's also the Lion team, they could possibly join in. We possibly see Arabia join in. There could be other countries joining in, like India, or the AEU could even join in. And we don't really want a World War 4 right now, because that wouldn't be very good for us, and we would definitely lose it. And they'd be like, we'll respond later, but they're not going to know how. But the Nigerians, despite the fact that there's support coming, will be able to push the Green team nearly completely out of Chad, meeting up with this river down here and eventually pushing past it. As we also have the or the Gabon country recapturing this major city here and starting to re-threaten their capital. However, good thing for Angola, as the Nigerian landing has been pushed out, and they're not going to have to worry about Nigeria anymore. And the communist rebels over here in this country, the Pink Country, will start to be pushed back due to the flooding of support into this area. This is probably the area that's getting the most support. So they'll basically nearly be fully pushed out, and all of this land will be taken off of them, just like that. And eventually a lot of support will start to go to the Green team now, as they'll start to re-push back into Chad, just like that. But Nigeria is kind of defending this area, and this is just the full force of Nigeria, and also the forces of Egypt, so they'll be able to push over here as well. And they'll actually be pushed out of the Chad country, and they'll hold a line right like this. But over here, the main support was actually going over to this region in the Green country, as they'll be able to push Egypt back nearly completely off the front line. And the communist rebels will be completely annihilated over here, and the dictator is captured and imprisoned in this country now finally. He was able to escape last time, but not this time. And now the Pink country will be able to use their military to start an invasion of the Gabon, kind of lavenderish country, and the invasion, just all around just like that. Oh yeah, that's good. And eventually this war will start to be stalemated. There's a lot of support coming in from each side, and it'll be stalemated till about 1992, and it'll be stalemated until the year 1993, where eventually all of these nations will start to be like, you know what, well, we could just stop fighting now, and we should draft up a peace treaty. But just before the peace treaty happens, we have the Angolan country completely pushing up in Chad and taking back a lot of this land. Pushing up here, we don't know how they're doing this, but they just are. And that's because they get support from the or the AEU, who are starting to support these guys, and they'll be like, oh, for God's sake, just as the peace treaty was about to happen, this land will basically just be captured, and yeah, this will happen, and then the peace treaty will be drafted up, so they just, like, you know, get Gabon back. Let's take a look at what this peace treaty looks like. I'm sure it'll be quite interesting. We don't actually see any land changes in this peace treaty. The only change is the fact that this country has moved from the parallelogram alliance and are given a democratic government once again. And that's all we see in terms of land in this peace treaty. I think that, I mean, it's appropriate. There's not going to be much land changes in these days, to be honest. So anyway, yeah, that's cool. We're going to see 2 more events in this video, and they're going to be very important events. One of them is the expansion of the Diamond Alliance, as they will be getting 2 new members. One of them will be the Galician country here. These guys, they may even think about joining Spain soon, but for now they're going to stay an independent nation. And the big one, Italy, will join in this alliance. They are a top 10 country. I think I included them in the top 10 in the last episode. I think they were like number 9 or something. They will join in this alliance, and this alliance is, I said alliance sometimes, but this pact is starting to grow a lot, and it's going to get a lot of new members. And you may be asking, why is Dark Junior not joining this Democratic Nations Alliance, which seems to be, they just right up this street. They're like, no, we don't like these guys because they have a terrible leader, but the people want to join, but they're almost like, we're not joining, little boy. I did lie about 2 more events. We're going to have, actually 2 more events after this now, but we have the nuclear numbers updating. The Dark Union will say, hey, we don't really want to create any more, we've had enough of nuclear bombs at this point, and yeah, the rest of these countries are able to create them, and we'll see what happens. As Egypt will go up from 78, and they will go up to 345 and 36. And where are these 36 going to go, you'll see now. And this is how it will happen. It's very weird, but the Libyans will get 12, the Nigerians will get 12, the Grey Saharan country will get 5, this red country will get 4, and the orange country will get 3. So that's a lot. Well, Canadians gonna be like, that's a lot of nukes. You sure you want to do this? You sure you want to play that game? Because you sure you want to play that game again? Because remember what happened last time? There was World War 3, and that wasn't very good. So do you want to have World War 4? Obviously, no, they don't say that. What's gonna happen is they're gonna go from 66, and they're gonna have a normal increase, and they're gonna go up to 137. Spain is actually gonna be creating a few nukes, and they're gonna go up from 16, and they're gonna go up to 21. And you know, Mexico created a nuke in the war. They're actually gonna create their very own first nuke as well. So they created another one. And Morocco's also going to expand the nukes. They're going to go up from 7. Once again, pretty normal. They're going to just go up to 32. And finally, it's Shandong over here. Now what's going to happen with Shandong? They're going to go up from 4. They're actually going to go up to 16 with 5 in other territories. 3 will be down in China. And the rest of the other 2, they're actually going to be over in Blue Xinjiang. That's quite interesting. Shandong is putting nukes in other countries. I'm sure that's not going to cause anything. But now it's actually time for the final event of today's video. As an event that is going to increase tensions to, well, a lot. It's going to happen. And it's one of the alliances. I did say a few episodes ago that Morocco, I do believe I said that they were a left-wing-ish country. Their president was they liked the idea of communism and kind of socialism, but they didn't want to carry it out, and instead they want to remain as a just, you know, democratic nation. That is still the case. However, after a few deals will be signed, we have the Moroccans officially joining up with the Parallelogram Alliance. And that's not all, as a spy in Egypt will manage to release a videotape to the public of a meeting between the Moroccan president and the Egyptian president during the war. You guys have already seen that, but they find this out and they're like, whoa, you guys were plotting this all along. The Canadian Union will do a kind of analysis into this, and they'll find something out. They had this economical alliance planned for a while. They said that if the Dark Union lost World War, and they originally wanted to kind of add the Dark Union into that alliance. However, you know, stuff happens, leadership, you know, all that. But they find out that these guys knew. In the clip, the Moroccan president knew, and that was because he was like, well, there is one thing that maybe we could like thing. And Egyptian president was like, what? But he didn't tell the Egyptian president, so yeah. He did end up telling him later, but the Egyptian president was like, oh, alright, fine, we can deal with it. And the Canadians was like, you had spies in our country? and it's all going to come unraveled. These guys were planning to take over all of Africa. Obviously, you know, that thing happened in here. They were planning to get rid of the Gear Alliance. That was their first step in their problem. It turned out to be the last step because it doesn't look like their problems are going to even happen anymore. But they basically want to turn Africa into one giant communist continent, and that's not what the Europeans want either. That's also not what the American countries want. So, well, and originally this video is kind of top secret classified information, but that's going to be broken straight away. As 2 days later after this video, or as a few months later after this video is created, or found to the public, or not to the public, but found by the Canadian Union, we have the internet being created. It'll be created in the Canadian Union, and well, it's very quickly going to take off inside of just the Canadian Union at first. They are planning to roll it out in other countries soon, such as Arabia, Spanish, Lime Team, Dark Union as well, all them. But obviously the year, like I said, it's 1994 at the minute. And the first video, or one of the first videos actually, kind of in the internet, it'll be accidentally leaked to the Canadian Union, and that video of the Egyptian leader and the Moroccan leader will get out to the public. And the public all of a sudden will become quite rowdy against communism and be like, whoa, we don't want these guys taking over all of Africa, no way. And you could say this is kind of like this universe's version of the Red Scare, however it's a bit different because this isn't like a Cold War. There ain't like, it's not like Cold War or in this series. There's not tensions really going on between like the African bloc and the Canadian Union. Canadian Union's just like, what are you guys doing now? But I mean, there may not be any tension between the governments. However, the civilians of these countries aren't really liking of each other at this point, and that's all I'm going to be saying up to this point. As yeah, I wanted like another peaceful time for the world after World War III. Finally, we'd have some world peace after all these world wars that have been happening. It's just not happened, you know. It's not. So yeah, that's going to be doing it for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. You will be seeing more Civilization content coming soon. I am still trying to brainstorm ideas for this era because I know kind of the result and what's going to happen, but I don't quite know what's going to happen in between that stuff, so yeah. And I also want to talk quickly about the ending of the series. I know what's going to happen in the ending of this series, and it's quite good. A few other people I've told have also said it's good. And I have plans for this series to end about episode maybe 70 or 80, I don't quite know yet. I don't know if this is going to be able to reach episode 100. However, I've also planned out some things for Season 2, and Season 2, it's going to be better than Season 1 by a lot. So yeah, prepare yourselves for that, and yeah, the finale of the series, if I keep up with my current schedule, which I am currently working on creating an actual upload schedule, it should be out in about, I mean, it would be like a few months maybe around just after Christmas time if we carry on how we are now. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that, because the finale of the series, it's going to be very lore heavy and it's going to be good. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.